And this is Karen.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Shane.
Today we're looking at part 2 of
Cream puffs.
Cream puffs, that's right. A history and how to make them. And the vocabulary words are ingredient.
Ingredient.
Rich went to the supermarket to pick up some more ingredients for the soup he was making.
Stove.
Stove.
Greg forgot to turn the stove off and almost burned down his house.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Stir.
Stir.
My sister stirred some milk into her coffee.
Transfer.
Transfer.
The company transferred Amanda to another office.
Thoroughly.
Thoroughly.
Henry studied his notes thoroughly.
Good for him.
So we're talking about cream puffs or desserts in general.
And day 2 is about how to make them, right?
That's right.
We're not going to go through the whole recipe. You can read it yourself. But it is so simple, right? There's just 5 ingredients.
Yes, there are 5 simple ingredients that you can get.
Water.
Water, that's right.
Butter.
Unsalted butter.
Flour.
Flour, that's right.
Salt.
Salt, that's right.
And eggs.
You got them all.
Bam.
You are pretty good.
Because it's pretty simple.
And I know that you are actually a good baker yourself.
I wouldn't say I'm a good baker, but I like baking things.
What's your what's your favorite recipe to make?
I think the thing that I bake that gets the most compliments is banana bread.
Really? Is it really easy to make?
It is easy to make. Basically speaking, I think baking, and especially the really delicious things, like cookies and muffins and cakes, they're quite easy to make. You just need to really follow the instructions or the directions, the recipe, right?
Okay, that's
You just have to be careful because it's all about chemistry.
And all the measurements, they have to be accurate.
Right. And the heat has to be correct.
You're right. And once you follow all the instructions, then you should be fine.
That's right.
Anyone can be a baker.
So if you make some cream puffs, send pictures to Karen. She'd love to see them.
Oh, I would love to taste them. Okay, enjoy.
Cream puffs, a history and how to make them.
Want to make your own cream puffs? Try the recipe below. Basic cream puff recipe. Prep time 20 minutes. Cooking time 30 minutes. Servings around 10. Ingredients: 125 milliliters of water, 55 grams of unsalted butter, 1 gram of salt, 65 grams of flour, 2 eggs. Filling: chocolate pudding, ice cream, or sweetened whipped cream.
Hello everyone and welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Kim.
And today we have things in our hand, cooking things. You've got eggs.
And
an egg beater. You're ready to beat or whip something. I have measuring spoons and some pastry. Now this should give you a bit of a clue about what we're going to do today. What are we going to do today?
we are going to make our own cream puffs.
That's right. We learned about the history of cream puffs, and so today we thought it would be a great idea to make some. But unfortunately, we're not actually going to make any. We don't have the equipment and we don't want to, burn down the building. So we're just going to talk our way through how you would make cream puffs. We're going to be looking at a recipe. So here's how we begin the article. Want to make your own cream puffs?
Yes.
Try the recipe below.
Here is your basic cream puff recipe that's very easy. The prep time or preparation, how much time you need to gather all your ingredients together, and of course your tools, would be 20 minutes.
Oh, 19 minutes for us.
Yes.
Because we've already got some stuff.
We're quick.
All right, we're ready to go.
Your cooking time would be 30 minutes.
Okay.
So that's how long the pastry needs to puff itself up.
So the whole process would take you around 50 minutes, an hour if you're me, because you'll probably cut yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll have to go to the bathroom and put on a Band-Aid. Okay, so around an hour to make the cream puffs. Okay.
Yes, and your servings, that's how much you make, is around 10. So you'll be making around 10 cream puffs more or less with this recipe. Maybe 9, maybe 11. About 10.
Okay, I see. So, of course, with recipes, you might have to do a bit of math. If you wanted to make it for 5, you just take everything and cut it in half.
Yes.
Okay, but this will be around 10 little cream puffs.
Yes, and we'll get into the ingredients right after we learn what an ingredient is.
Well, yeah, if you're making food, especially if you're doing it yourself, you will probably work from a recipe. Now, a recipe is a list of instructions, and one of the first things you'll read in the recipe are the ingredients. An ingredient, this is a noun, is a food that goes into making another food. If you look at a recipe or instructions on how to make a food, we'll have 2 groups of information. The first group will be the ingredients, all of the things you need to get together to make the food that you're trying to make. If you're trying to make a cake or something, it would have flour, sugar, butter, eggs, maybe water or milk or something like that. So you get all those things, you get them in the right amounts, you mix them together, you do stuff, you cook them, you bake them, and then you will end up with a cake. Now the cake is not the ingredient, it's all the things you need to make the cake. Those are the ingredients. Or if you buy a food at a store and you look on the back of a bag, you might see a list of ingredients. All of those things go into making that snack or whatever you are eating. Those are the ingredients. For example, Rich went to the supermarket to pick up some more ingredients for the soup he was making. So you might get a can of chicken stock, some vegetables, maybe some chicken as well. If you're making some noodles,
yes,
you can put the noodles.
Always good to add.
All of those would be the ingredients for the soup. And don't forget salt.
Yes.
Always need some
salt
in your soup. All right, so now we know what ingredients are. Let's find out what the ingredients are for our cream puffs.
Let's start with 125 milliliters of water. Here it says ml. This is a way to shorten the name of the measurement, so we don't have to write out milliliters every single time. It will just shorten itself to ml.
Okay.
You also need 55 grams of unsalted butter. Grams is just shortened to G. That's it. And 1 gram of salt. Very important for your food.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we often put salt in almost everything that we make, but here it's a small amount, 1 gram of salt. And then we'll also have 65 grams of flour. Flour, of course, 面粉 is sort of ground up wheat in a powder. We use that for almost any kind of bread that you make, from simple bread to cookies to cakes to pies. All sorts of stuff like that it includes or needs flour. And then 2 eggs. You can use 1 brown one and 1 white one, 2 brown ones, 2 white ones. It really doesn't matter as long as they're eggs. And of course, notice we don't say chicken eggs, we just say eggs.
Or no dinosaur eggs, right?
If it's a special egg, it would say duck eggs or something like that. But of course, if it just says eggs, we mean chicken eggs. Okay, so once we've gathered all of those things, we need one more thing, remember, to put inside the cream puff, and that is our filling. A filling is something that goes inside something else. And here we have a choice: chocolate pudding, ice cream, or sweetened whipped cream.
Ooh, I'm putting chocolate pudding in mine.
Ooh, that sounds good. I think I'll probably go with sweetened whipped cream, because it's probably the easiest to make. Now, we might have other recipes about how to make those, or you can just buy some at the store and keep your life, a little bit simpler. All right, let's take a break. We're going to gather all those ingredients, and then we'll be back to start making our cream puffs.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。第一天的课文有简单介绍了奶油泡芙的历史，那我们今天要来学做奶油泡芙咯。我们先来看看基本的食谱。好，它的准备时间是20分钟。烹调时间30分钟，那做出来分量大约是10个。这时候 Kim 老师用到 more or less， 字面意思是多或少，它就是用来表达或多或少差不多的那种意思。好，那我们接着要来看看制作奶油泡芙的材料，有水、无盐奶油、盐巴、面粉、蛋，还有馅料。那我们来看单字 ingredient。ingredient 就可以表达成分，你要烹调的时候会用到的原料。那么文中用到2个量食材的单位，一个是 ml， 它就是 milliliter 是毫升，那么 G 则是代表 gram 就是公克。 那这时候 Kim 老师他用到 measurement 这个字，就是在 measure 测量后面加上 ment 来构成这个名词，它可以表达测量、测量结果或是尺寸的意思。接话课文中。
Cream puffs, a history and how to make them.
Directions. 1. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper. 2. Combine butter, salt, and water in a pan over medium-high heat on the stove. Bring to a boil. 3. Add flour and stir in quickly with a wooden spoon. Continue stirring until the mixture forms to a smooth ball of dough. 4. Remove from heat. Transfer dough into a bowl. Let cool for 3 minutes. 5. Add eggs one at a time. Beat well after each addition to thoroughly mix in the eggs.
All right, we're back and we are ready to make our cream puffs.
Yes, we gave all of the ingredients to our chef, who is going to be making them in our full kitchen right over here, but we can't show you that.
No,
sorry.
But we can tell you. So here are the directions for cooking your pastries. You're almost done. 1. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Preheat is when you make the oven hot before you put it inside. So we need to make sure that the oven is hot before we put the cream puffs in. Otherwise, it will take forever.
That's true.
Too long.
Yeah.
You want to line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper. The baking sheets are very flat, wide pans, and you want to put this certain kind of paper called parchment paper that's used for cooking inside those baking sheets.
Okay, yeah, parchment paper. It's a little bit kind of crackly sounding, right? It's often brown or white, and you put it so that things don't stick to your baking sheet. The baking sheet's made of metal, and you don't want things to stick to it. So you put the parchment paper, and then it's easy to take off, and it doesn't kind of rip and fall apart. All right, that's a good, sensible thing to do to save yourself time, trouble, and a big mess. Next, combine butter, salt, and water in a pan over medium-high heat on the stove. Oh, so we're going to be actually cooking this stuff to get it ready to put in the oven. So we put the butter, the salt, and the water into this pan, to like a shallow pot, over medium-high heat. So quite hot on the stove, and then bring it to a boil, just like you're boiling water for your tea or coffee or something like that. Bring it to a boil. Make sure basically the water is at 100 degrees. It's making all those bubbles.
Yes, you're going to do this by using this piece of equipment here called a stove. Stove is a piece of equipment that burns fuel or uses electricity in order to heat things up. And you need a stove for almost any cooking that you'll do. You can use the oven to bake things or cook things. You can use the top to boil water or fry things too. For example, Greg forgot to turn the stove off and almost burned down his house. Greg and I feel that.
Oh, did you almost burn your house down by leaving the stove on?
Maybe once.
Yeah, I find sometimes I actually check it 2 or 3 times
Yeah,
now.
make sure it's off.
Did I turn that? Yeah, it's off. All right. But yes, don't leave your stove on when you're not there nearby, because that could become dangerous. All right, so we're boiling all this stuff, getting it nice and hot. And once it is boiling, once you see those bubbles in your pan, add flour and stir in quickly with a wooden spoon. Now that's probably quite important, right? The time you do things and how fast you do things. So don't kind of dribble it in and stir it like this. No, put it all in and then quickly use a wooden spoon to mix all of this flour into this hot liquid. Continue stirring until the mixture forms a smooth ball of dough. Oh, so you're going to actually cook it for quite a while until the water all disappears and it becomes kind of hard, or not hard, or at least drier than you might think. But you're doing this while stirring. If you don't stir it, it'll stick to the pot, it'll stick to the pan, it will start to burn. Now if we stir, this is a verb, and basically it means you're mixing things together. You're taking 2 foods and you're kind of moving them around so that they become one new thing. A simple way to think of this is think of when you put some sugar into a drink. Now, if you don't stir it, the sugar will sink to the bottom. You'll drink the drink. It'll taste normal with no sugar until you get to the bottom when all the sugar will pour into your mouth and ugh, that's too sweet. So to make it taste sweet all the way through in a nice even way, first, of course, you have to stir it. You might get a spoon or something like that. Put it in the liquid, move it around, and by doing that, you're going to make that sugar dissolve and become part of that drink. You're going to stir it in, to mix it, to blend it, to make those two things into one. Our example sentence talks about something else we might often stir. My sister stirred some milk into her coffee. Yeah, that's another thing.
That's usually what you do when you stir.
Absolutely. You'll turn it from sort of black coffee and white milk into that nice sort of light brown color once you stir it. Okay, so we've stirred it. Now it is a nice ball of dough. Remove from heat. That basically means either turn the heat off or take the pot off the heat. And then even better, transfer dough into a bowl. Basically, don't cook this for too long because then you might have trouble later on. So once it looks nice, take it off the heat, transfer the dough into a bowl and let cool for 3 minutes.
Okay, so you need to take it out and let it sit outside, not on the heat, and let it cool down. You can't work with the dough if it's too hot, so you need to let it cool and get a little harder first.
I guess that makes sense. If you leave it in the pot will stay warm and it will continue to cook.
Now, how do you do that? You transfer it. To transfer is to move something from one place to another. You can transfer people, you can transfer things. When you change subway cars on the metro, you're transferring to a different line. And as our example says, the company transferred Amanda to another office. She's working over here, but the company decided to move her to a different office over here.
Okay, it's kind of a special term, but yeah, a lot of things like even the post office, right? Their basic job is transferring mail from one place to another. Or Uber Eats, they'll transfer the food from the restaurant to your home, one of those delivery services. What they do is basically transfer things, move it from A to B.
Now you've got your dough that's cooling down. Okay. So the next step is to add your eggs. So remember you have 2. Add your eggs one at a time. Beat well after each addition to thoroughly mix in the eggs. So we're going to crack an egg, add it in, beat, 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 beat. Crack our next egg, add that in, and make sure to beat it well until it's thoroughly or completely mixed.
Absolutely. Now, you might have the arms of the rock or something, which means you could probably do it by hand. You might want to use one of those mixing machines, right? That will probably help you save some time and also be less tiring as you mix or beat these eggs into the dough mixture. But whatever you do, do it thoroughly. Thoroughly, this adverb means completely or very well or 100%. If you do something thoroughly, you do it as much as you possibly can, as much as you should. Not just a little bit, you do it a lot, completely, very well. For example, Henry studied his notes thoroughly. He had 4 pages of notes. He didn't just read half of one page and go, okay, that's it, I've studied. No, he read all 4 of them, and maybe he read all 4 of them again to do it really, really well or thoroughly. All right, so we're about halfway there, right?
Yeah, it's getting there, it's getting there.
We've got the dough almost prepared, but remember, the oven is still warm. We still need to do some baking, so let's come back after the break and get on with that.
好，那我们现在要进入制作奶油泡芙的步骤咯。首先是把烤箱预热到摄氏180度，然后把2个烤盘都铺上烤盘纸。所以文中这个 baking sheet 就是指烤盘，那么 parchment paper 则是指烤盘纸、烘焙纸。Mike 老师刚刚用到 crackly 来描述这个烤盘纸容易发出的声音。Crackly 是拼作 C-R-A-C-K-L-Y， 它可以用来描述那种细碎松脆的那种声音。 好，那么烤盘纸呢，可以让你轻易的把这个烤好的成品拿起来，它才不会整个裂掉或是毁掉嘛。这时候老师用到 rip 这个字 ，R-I-P rip 可以表达撕开、划破或是裂开的意思。好，下一个步骤呢，我们就需要把奶油、盐跟水放在锅子里面混合，然后用炉子把它加热煮到沸腾，然后再加入面粉。记得我们要木勺子把它快速搅拌，然后持续搅拌到这个混合物都形成一个光滑的面团球。接着呢，我们把面团就移到碗里面去冷却3分钟。冷却完就要加入鸡蛋，记得一次是加1颗哦。每次加的时候，你都要把它打匀，把这个蛋跟面团充分的混合。好，这边有4个单字 ，stove， 它表示火炉、小炉子。那么 stir 就是搅拌、搅动的意思。Mike 老师在讲这个单字的时候，他用到 dissolve 这个字 ，D-I-S-S-O-L-V-E，dissolve 就表示溶解。再来看 transfer 或是 transfer 这个动词，它表示转移、调任的意思。那么 thoroughly 这个副词则是表达彻底地或是全面地、仔细地。好，那我们刚刚说要持续搅拌到这个混合物形成光滑的面团球，我们这边有2个重点哦。第一个是动词 continue 后面可以接不定词或动名词来表达继续怎么样、持续怎么样。像我们可以说 Jill picked up her book and continued reading。Jill 拿起书本，她继续看那本书，继续阅读。那第2个重点是动词 form 表示形成、组成，像我们可以说 She formed the dough into small balls。她把那个面团呢做成一小颗一小颗球状的面团。好，那我们接着回到课文中。
Cream puffs, a history and how to make them.
6. Transfer the mixture to a pastry bag with a cake tip.Pipe it onto prepared baking sheets in 3 to 4 centimeter rounds, about 6 centimeters apart. 7. Bake in the 180 degrees Celsius oven around 30 minutes until puffs rise and are golden brown. 8. Place the puffs on wire racks and let cool. 9. Fill the puffs with a filling of your choice.
All right, so we've got our dough, we've beat in our eggs, and what is the next thing we need to do to finish our puffs?
Now we have to kind of break it down into smaller parts. Remember, we were going to make 10 servings of this puff pastry, or these cream puffs. If we just do it now, it's going to be one giant cream puff the size of a basketball, and we don't really want that.
I'd still eat it.
Yeah, it might actually be good, but your friends would be upset
well,
if you're
true.
just like, oh, my cream puff is delicious. Oh, what are you eating? I don't care. Oh. No, you want to break it down into smaller pieces, smaller cream puffs. So, step 6, transfer the mixture to a pastry bag with a cake tip. Wow, that is something I do not have in my kitchen, but I know exactly what they mean. It's kind of a bag, and you can put these different sort of shaped metal parts on the end. That's the cake tip. Some of them might be star-shaped or round or triangle shape or something like that. And basically, then you squeeze the bag and the stuff comes out the front. And, you know, they use it to design cakes.
And decorate them.
And decorate and shape different things like that. I don't actually have one. That's pretty neat, though. And so you put it into this bag, you use the cake tip, and then pipe it. Basically, squeeze the dough through the tip onto prepared baking sheets in 3 to 4 centimeters rounds, about 6 centimeters apart. All right, so you're making these little sort of large coin-sized little piles of your dough on your prepared baking sheet. Remember that baking sheet we put the baking paper or the parchment paper on? That's the stuff we're talking about.
Hi, then you're going to bake in the 180 degrees C oven, which has heated up by now.
Right.
Around 30 minutes until puffs rise and are golden brown. So you're looking for them to get bigger and puffier, and also to be this sort of yellowish, goldenish brown color on the outside.
Right, okay. So around 30 minutes, after about 20 minutes, start looking through the window of your oven and going, I think they need 5 more minutes. But do not do not open the oven door. You will let all the heat out and you'll totally ruin the time and the science and everything. So you have to be kind of careful and take them out at the best time possible. But there is kind of an art to that. So it might not be perfect the first time. But don't keep opening it and closing. Are they ready? Are they ready? Don't do that.
We know it's hard to wait, but don't do that.
It is. Do not do that because the temperature in the oven will go down and everything will get messed up. Anyways, so once they're golden brown and perfectly risen after around 30 minutes, take them out. It says 8. Place the puffs on wire racks and let cool. This is what you do with most things that you bake, right? You take them out, cookies, muffins, cake, even bread. You take it out. A wire rack will basically let air go all around it, and the bottom won't still be cooking on your hot pan, and let it cool down for, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, you don't want to burn yourself. I know it looks delicious, but you don't want to pop them in your mouth straight away. That's going to be horrible for you.
Don't do that.
So after they're cool, now it's time to fill the puffs with the filling of your choice. You wanted the whipped cream. I want the chocolate pudding.
Okay, and you can probably use your bag with your cake tip and almost like, giving yourself some medicine, some vaccine. You basically make a little hole in the puff pastry, fill it up with cream, and then you're ready to go.
Amazing.
And
sounds
your
delicious.
friends and family will love you.
Oh, definitely. And they'll probably request them again and again. They're pretty easy to make.
Absolutely. It sounds pretty easy to make, and you can always try a different filling and all sorts of ways to make them interesting the second time or third time and many other times that you make them. So let's move on to our what do you think question. What do I think? Yes, I would like some cream puffs. Is that the question? Would you like some cream puffs?
The question is, do you like cream puffs and why? If you've never had one, how do you think they would taste? But I think you've had them.
I've had them before, absolutely.
So you know. So do you like them?
Yeah, I would say I do. The reason I like cream puffs is that they're kind of an interesting dessert. Cake's okay. I kind of like pie more than cake, but you have those things all the time. Cream puffs are, they're kind of special. I don't know if I would make them at home, but often if I'm at a restaurant, which is usually where I might eat dessert, not at home, if I see cream puffs on the menu, that's something I might look at a little more carefully rather than just, chocolate cake or cheesecake or something like that.
Yeah, they're not your everyday sort of thing you find everywhere. They're a bit more rare, so mostly you do see them in restaurants, not really at the corner store.
Exactly, and you can have 2 or 3 and you feel like it's kind of a nice, sweet little treat. It's not a big dessert.
They're very light.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Good luck if you decide to make some cream puffs at home. It's always fun to learn how to cook, and maybe even if you mess it up the first time like I often do, you can try it out again. It'll only get better and you'll have fun. But do be careful when you're cooking things at home and always think safety first. All right, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you very soon with another fun but maybe not so delicious unit coming up in the future. Until then, bye-bye.
现在我们要把刚刚做好这个混合物放到挤花袋里面，然后你才能挤出一个一个的圆状物嘛。那接着呢，要把它们放到烤箱里面，摄氏180度要烤30分钟左右。当你看到这个泡芙鼓起，呈现金黄色，就差不多烤好了。然后等这个泡芙放凉之后，我们再填入馅料，就大功告成。Mike 老师刚刚在描述填入馅料时，他说这个过程就很像在注射疫苗，这听起来一点都不可口诶。好，我们还是补充一下 vaccine V-A-C-C-I-N-E 或是 vaccine 这个字表示疫苗。那么文中用到这个 cake tip。Cake tip 就是指那个挤花嘴、挤花袋的意思。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Cream puffs, a history and how to make them.
Want to make your own cream puffs? Try the recipe below. Basic cream puff recipe. Prep time 20 minutes. Cooking time 30 minutes. Servings around 10. Ingredients: 125 milliliters of water, 55 grams of unsalted butter, 1 gram of salt, 65 grams of flour, 2 eggs. Filling: chocolate pudding, ice cream, or sweetened whipped cream. Directions: 1. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper. 2. Combine butter, salt, and water in a pan over medium-high heat on the stove. Bring to a boil. 3. Add flour and stir in quickly with a wooden spoon. Continue stirring until the mixture forms to a smooth ball of dough. 4. Remove from heat. Transfer dough into a bowl. Let cool for 3 minutes. 5. Add eggs one at a time. Beat well after each addition to thoroughly mix in the eggs. 6. Transfer the mixture to a pastry bag with a cake tip. Pipe it onto prepared baking sheets in 3 to 4 centimeter rounds, about 6 centimeters apart. 7. Bake in the 180 degrees Celsius oven around 30 minutes until puffs rise and are golden brown. 8. Place the puffs on wire racks and let cool. 9. Fill the puffs with a filling of your choice.
In the northeast corner of Taiwan sits Fulong Beach, with 3 kilometers of golden sand beaches. The sand here is extremely fine and easy to mold, making it the ideal place to build sand sculptures. The Fulong International Sand Sculpture Art Festival takes place between April and July. Artists from all over the world and Taiwan create art with sand. Large crowds of people are drawn here to appreciate their work. The theme for 2018's festival is Adventure of Love and Courage. The display area looks like a large map of the sea, taking visitors off on a fantastic ocean voyage. Each section is filled with all kinds of island works of art, like Guishan Island and canoes on Orchid Island. Visitors can also see the eye-catching Mermaid Island and Racing Island. In the center towers the main work, called Upside Down. Fulong's lively and rich sculptures fill visitors with a sense of beauty and passion.
See you next time!